Good morning and welcome to Presence of Light Talk with Charlie Riverman Bergeron. Once again, it's a joy to be with you here on Humanity Healing, especially the day after the full moon and this beautiful light energy that we're all receiving. And today's topic this morning is action and attraction. Kara, good morning. Thank you for being here. And each of us are now enjoying, I think, sometimes that's a subjective thought, but I myself am enjoying some of the changes that are occurring. For me, I believe many of us are still in a place of chaos or a place of distortion, but we're beginning to see that we're moving through this, even if it's just very slowly. So it's a positive talk this morning, and it's about action and attraction. So good morning, Lisa, Leonie, Tiffany, Lainey. Each of you are just amazing beings, and I'm so glad to spend my morning with you on Fridays. So with that said, the two words that came to me this morning as I awoke, I believe it was about 6:34 this morning, were action and attraction. And those were somehow mixed together and didn't know which one was going to come first or which one was going to follow. And normally I would have said that attraction would have started it. Looking at the law of attraction, it brings something, and then we act upon it. And so today it actually reversed, and it was showing me the mirror image of this. And so my first question to my higher self, as I began writing my show notes this morning, was, how do we, as an evolving race of beings here on planet Earth, not manipulate and deconstruct all that is fruitful and beneficial in our past as we spiral ever more rapidly forward? And that kind of took my breath away. Even when I read that, it takes my breath away, because most of what I think most of us are going through is to release a lot of past trauma. And we do it in many, many, many ways. Kara is a beautiful provider of sound and the ability of sound to help us heal. And I'll mention that a little bit later, but it's, again, this process is so many ways we can help release the trauma in our bodies. And it's made me think of, wow, isn't there any good back there? And so lately I've been thinking about fun things and good things in my past, that childhood fantasies or experiences, or that were really, I don't want to get rid of, that they were really positive. And so the old saying, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, comes to mind right now, is that as we make this forward expansion into our higher self, let's not be too hasty in our cleaning house. So as always, I sit down and chat with my guides and angels, and they're always on board. There's never a dull moment here. So, and I encourage you all to enlist them in your own journey, however they may appear to you. They will appear if you ask them. So again, what I realized that from my guides is that we as humans see all things through our human perception, which is right here. And this is the scope of our ability to see things. And we've let go of the higher seeing, the higher self looking into what's transpiring in our lives. And so these statements came through me that our true self is naturally operational in divine innocence, infinite possibilities, and life being about choices. This is our true self. So when we're trying to figure out who we are and how we're operating as, one of the first signs of not operating in our true, full truth is fear. And I wrote something about fear the other day as being a magnificent tool in our toolbox for our survival. But it really, if fear is a warning signal, and yet if we hold on to fear, it can be very detrimental in our evolutionary process. That's another whole talk. So our true self naturally resonates with divine innocence, infinite possibilities, and life being about choices and always being able to make a choice. So many of us, when we feel like we don't have a choice, this is when things start to really get crunchy. And then we start to get angry with ourselves or have self-inflicted energies that are detrimental to our progress and towards our forward motion. And, as I say, it's easy for me to say this because of my experiences. But last night in the full moon, if you think about it, it's her bright light, even as a reflection of the sun's light, that has the power to dispel darkness, the darkness of the evening skies. So it's the truth within each of us that it may not be the full power of our complete light, and maybe just a reflection, but just that reflection has the ability to dispel the darkness of our past, or our traumas, or whatever, and lead us out of this situation where we're not feeling so good about ourselves, about what's happening around us, and tap into the positive aspect of something is happening. We are truly evolving. So that's my sort of introduction to today's talk. I pulled two cards too. So when I go through this process, I go through this communication system, and which inspires me. And I always tell people that if you've been inspired, act upon it. And again, here is the word action ahead of the word attraction. And normally I would have written attraction and then action, because I've been trained to see, is it the law of attraction, focusing on that to bring something to me and to work with that. And what we're seeing here is the complete shifting opposite of that, is that we have to act. It's primary. If we don't act on anything, and if we don't even act to tap into the possibilities of the law of attraction, how can we sit here and expect a result? We can't. So the key word today was action. How are we going to act? How are we going to activate? How are we going to act upon in these days that we move forward in our progressive evolution? And so the first two cards I pulled, I love this deck, and it's there's two of them there. We'll give you two pictures together, and I don't know if I can see that. There you go, two beautiful galaxies. Okay, and one is the Orion Nebula, and this one is our sun and our solar system right here. That's our galaxy. And our galaxy represents the law of attraction. That was the card that was. And the other card is action. And so again, this is not something that I planned. I just randomly picked up this stack of cards right here. Stack of cards, they're big. And I shuffle them And I just don't run, and I just go in and reach one. And what have I got here? Gratitude. I am grateful for all of my guides. So this is how it works. When we start to tap into the deeper, higher self, that kind of magic happens all the time. It's not, it starts out as, oh, wow, that was cool, or wow, that was fun. And then we realize that because we're letting go of all of the restrictions that we've placed on ourselves, that others have placed on us, we realize that there's really not much that we aren't capable of if we truly act and attract. So the law of attraction card, which is our galaxy, says, through the law of attraction, all I ever choose comes to me. And the action card says, I know Source has given me intuition and divine guidance. I act for my good and for the good of others. So here we are, acting or trying to act, attempting to act from a higher place, from our intuition, and from a place where we're communicating with what we would generally call our divine guidance. However that appears for you is how it appears to you. And I'm not here to tell you what to see or who to speak to or whatever, but know that it exists, that this ability of ours to communicate with beings of other dimensions, being of other forms, beings of other energies, is all not fantasy. This is what we're tapping into now so that we can evolve collectively. And so I was reminded that intentions, as well as positive work, bring new opportunities for growth. Okay. And I hear the words often, trust your intuition and guidance. And I get that continually. Whenever I start doubting what I'm hearing or it doesn't align fully with what I'm used to, I, like everybody, hesitate and say, do I list that? So dowsing, I don't have my rods here with me, but I will dowse for it, or you can do it with a pendulum. But even that, you can find some resistance to wanting to accept what those rods or what that pendulum is telling us. So what is that resistance? For me, the resistance is years and years of, and lifetimes of being told that what I thought from my heart wasn't acceptable. And this is what we've been told, lifetime after lifetime. And we've been entrained to be triggered by fear, to keep us from trusting that. Because if we trust that, what would really happen to the world of power and the world of somebody controlling us? It would fall apart. They can't be held together without fear. And so this is why we have so much fear promotion in the world today, and why people are just making up stories and expounding on them just to create mistrust. And when you don't trust, you are opening the gateway for fear. Didn't want to talk about this, but it's coming out. So the message that I wrote below that is, I share with others to see themselves as a higher light, your true self as a multidimensional being that fear has no power over. Okay, can you think of yourself as a multidimensional being. You don't have to know what that means, but just say there's more facets, sort of like a crystal. If I show you this crystal, this is a multidimensional being. You see, it has a dimension here, it has dimension, each surface is another dimension. And it's a gateway to another part of that crystalline structure that we can't fully understand from this human level, but we're learning how to tap into it and use it to help us rise up out of this despair that we see in the world today, this serious despair. So as a sovereign being, we will act from our hearts. And from that point, all obstacles and challenges and disrespect are shown to us only as a reminder to our choices, the power of our choices. If we choose from our hearts, the outcome eradicates any of the negativity. This is the positive energy source. This is the place of confusion. It's real simple. Trust your heart, speak from your heart, speak through your heart, gather in your hearts, and really deepen that communication system. However you do it is not important. What's important is the action. Do it. Do it. It's the action of doing it that will overcome all our limitations and will break through the bondage of this dimensional density that entraps us into making choices that are not in full alignment with our true embodiment as sovereign beings. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. I love to watch the talk afterwards because I get as much out of this as you do. It comes through me. It's who I am. And I love you all dearly and thank you. So it's through action and attraction that we overcome all our limitations. And that was the message this morning. And that's why I put them in the opposite position, because it's an example of how we've been taught to think backwards and see things backwards. And that, again, once again, without action, there can't be attraction. And so they're married together, and it's all through the activation and actions of our hearts. I hope that makes sense to you on some level, and don't overthink it. It's really, so I try to tell people all the time, it's more simple than we really understand. When we try to understand it from here, this is where the confusion is. This is where the polar opposites are struggling and vying for. The separation is playing out in here, and then it plays out outside of us. So when we drop down into our heart space, there is no separation here. It's all one. Both halves of that heart is working. It's team. It's unity. It's unity. And, this is how we are coming back together into the divine unity that we really represent, not the distortion. Wow, 20 minutes. Anyway, the next card I chose, now I know why I only chose 2 decks. It was from the Kuan Yin card deck. And this is the beautiful card deck Alana Fairchild created. And the card is the Call of the Dancing Crane. Here's the picture of that. And so the quote, and original first line teaching of that card is, dancing crane moves through waters and muddy marsh with elegance and grace. Just like in that picture, just elegance and grace. The mating call and dance of the crane is full of beauty, movement, beautiful movement and flow. There are times when the astral waters of our emotional life become stagnant and will benefit from the healing movement, grace, and beauty of the dancing crane. The call of the dancing crane is a reminder that sound can be healing too. Here's where beautiful people like Kara come in to teach us that our voice, that our sound, the sounds we emit, and the sounds we tap into are really healing energies. Why music is so healing, why the bowls behind me are so healing. Somebody wanted me to talk about the bowls. They're self-explanatory. It's a vibration of healing and a frequency that bypasses the human conscious mind who's trying to figure out everything. And it just allows that energy to flow through us and balance us in and make us more cohesive within our own energetic system. It's really, really simple, and yet if you study it, it's really extremely convoluted and deep. So I can't do that with my brain. I just enjoy it all. And so sound is really important. As she goes on to say, this is particularly so when your thoughts, beliefs, and emotional patterns do not support you in living the spiritual destiny you were born to live. So this is what the call of the crane is the call of the crane is to come back into that, to that dance, the dance of life. So once again, we're called into action. That's action. It's not attraction, it's action that is the key here. The next quote I copied out of that chapter is, that card is, just like sifting the mud, check my glasses, mud out of the water so that we can move freely and gracefully like the dancing crane. If we accept healing energy to help us filter through our psychological programs so that our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions can create new habits and patterns more aligned with what we would like to experience in our lives. Again, this is sovereignty. This is taking power back. This is calling our power back to ourselves so that we will be more aligned with what we would like to experience in our lives. What is amazing is that this process of life being about choices creates infinite possibilities for us to return to our divine innocence. And those were three statements that hit me real hard this morning as they came through. Our divine innocence, infinite possibilities that we are able to tap into, and our lives truly being about the choices that we make every day and in every possible way that enables us to heal, to become whole, to help others heal and become whole, and to really just know that we're in this flow of life that is evolving not just for us as humans, but all species here on this planet. For this planet, it's an evolutionary process for this planet, for our universe, our galaxy. All the planets are evolving. The sun is evolving. Everything is evolving. And it's going to take our active participation to make it happen. So on the sidelines, a few comments here. Lisa says, I'm grateful for my daughter and the future birth of my grandchild. Well, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? And this is grateful, gratitude. Find the gratitude in your life. I know many of us have suffered loss, and we have suffered pain, and we have suffered abuse, and we have so many things that are, when we focus on, can just drain our energy. But please try to find those moments, those little sparks where that energy of gratitude can be planted and blossom. It's the lotus in the mud. You know, gratitude is the lotus rising up from the mud. The mud is everywhere. This is where we are. We're not we're not separate from the physical world. And how we see the world is as important as how we act and react in the world. I found a picture that I don't know where I got it from, but it's a quote from David Suzuki. And I just wanted to read this. It's more about our environment, but I think as I read it, I could feel it in myself. And it's about changing our way of looking and thinking, our perspective of life. So it reads as thus: the way we see the world shapes the way we treat it. If a mountain is a deity, not a pile of ore, if a river is a of land, not potential irrigation water, if a forest is a sacred grove, not timber, if other species are biological kin, not resources, or if the planet is our mother, not an opportunity, then we will treat each other with greater respect. Thus is the challenge, to look at the world from a different perspective. And so that's what this morning's talk about, is action and attraction. How do we look at ourselves and our place in this world and who we are from a completely different perspective? One of wholeness, one of gratitude, one reflecting my three favorite aspects: peace, light, and love. This is where we're beginning from this full moon and the energies that we've been going through. And we're going to go through more. And they're going to be strenuous. It's going to take a lot of work sometimes to get through all of this. But each one of us are here for that purpose. And we're not alone. We have amazing, gifted guides and teachers in all kinds of forms, in all kinds of energies, who are waiting to hear us say, help me. With that, I'm complete. I want to thank you all for showing up and being here and sharing your morning with me. And for those of you who listen later, I love you as much as everybody here, because there is no separation. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity. With that, I'm complete. I give you all blessings of peace, light, and love. May your week be filled with activity, and may your blessings be abundant. And tap into the sound around you and see what resonates and what doesn't resonate, because it's a great tool. It's a great asset for all of us to go beyond the thinking mind and do a little tweaking. Thank you. Have a great week. Bye-bye.